works myself, so I'm just saying.
I know. It's a liberal talking point that they've made that graph and chopped it out to start at the highest tax rates and to show that we're doing much better. But
yeah,
try to ask. You got to run it 1890, 1900, and then you'll see what the country can do.
So try to ask questions.
That's what the golden age. That's what the golden age is all about.
Yeah, Efton, try to ask questions, and then I ask you questions. To go back to our so well-perceived and successful format, if you want. Ask me a few questions.
What's your main problem? What's your main problem with the efficiency with Doge, with the concept and the execution? What's your problem with that?
Okay, thanks. That's a question. So I mean, I have no problems of reducing the government, but as I perceive it, watching the media, looking what's going on, I'm not sure if he really spares that much money. First of all, I have an issue that obviously there needs to be oversight. I think we would probably agree with that. The fact how that's his personality, how he executes that, I have issues. So oversight is an issue. The execution, the style, again, is an issue. If it's effective, I would be okay. I don't care about the style, but I also doubt the effectiveness. And back to the NPR, the National Partnership for Reinventing Government of Al Gore, I think it was more effective, better style, and better outcomes and more oversight. So that's the concrete comparison. And you can debate that. I think he cut more than $100 billion, which was 10% of the federal budget at that.
That was his proposal.
Okay, let's stay in that. Efton, ask the next question.
So considering he never really got,
Sorry, I can't hear you very well. I can't hear you very well. Sorry, there was a interference.
So on the Al Gore proposal and Clinton's execution of decreasing spending was not that much. He didn't get much done. So I don't think it was 10%.
Ask a question. Ask a question.
Yeah. This is why are you against this Doge committee that's already gotten $100 billion? Clearly on a napkin, anyone can see that it's $100 billion has been saved so far. But you're not happy with that? It's just been 2 months, and he's done more than Clinton and Gore in their whole term. Don't you like that? Do you disagree with the number 100 billion?
Yeah.
100 plus saved already?
I'm not sure that's a realistic number. I do see a lot of issues with compromise of interests with one of the richest guys in the world. I think he's the second one now after Tesla stock went down. But so there are a lot of issues, oversight issue, style issue, effectiveness issue. But let's try to ask another question.
I have a clear question. USAID has been cut by at least 3/4 and the rest of it put into state. Number 2 is that there's 200,000 jobs have been fired. If you just add those two numbers, it's approaching 100 billion. Would you agree with that?
Okay, I listen to you. Maybe you're right. I'll look into that. Could be.
Just even a child can do that math.
So I mean, USAID,
right?
USAID was 60 billion, I think, a year.
So take 75% of that.
So it's like whatever, 45 billion or something.
40,
and then he cut 200,000 jobs
at about 150K each. That's another 30 billion, correct?
Okay, which is not 100 billion yet, but it's okay.
2 things and we're approaching 100 is what I said. Do you agree?
If that's true, I think that there might be truth in that. So then I think there is a value in that. But Let's ask another question about another topic.
But why do you want to change topics, Marcus?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
For your viewership from Germany.
It's fine. It's fine.
Keep in the chat saying it's only napkin math. It's not true. So I'd love to hear some pushback on this.
Okay, ask another question. Whatever topic. That's fine.
On impeachment, this is the. Don't you think impeachment is good? Because this is the most. These are the most activist judges we've ever had in history. So we must have the most aggressive impeachment policy or pressure put upon them in a check and balance. The judiciary's never gone out of line like this, so that's why it requires things like impeachment. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I mean, in that case of the whatever Venezuelans being sent to El Salvador, I think that the judge questioning that, I think he probably was reasonable in my eyes. Obviously, it is an easy, low-hanging fruit to send people with tattoos who look like the truchas or whatever in a plane to a place where in El Salvador they got rid of them pretty effectively, I agree, but obviously with some collateral damage as well. So it's low-hanging fruit and using a legal construction from which is doubtful. But I think we probably I feel like that the judge did a reasonable thing, and to impeach him to me is a little excessive. That's my feeling about it. So I have mixed feelings about it. Obviously, everybody likes to see people who are illegal with tattoos who look like gang members, but you can't prove it at this point, sent back. I feel the same way. Yeah, send them back. I mean, you have to go a little bit beyond your first impression sentiment to face reality. Next question.
Do you think the record low approval rating for Democrats is something that is reflected in these issues when you argue for gang members to stay in the country, that it hurts your popularity, or when you go set fire to Teslas, it kind of hurts you, it doesn't help you? You agree that this is the leading? Why do you think the Democrats have such low approval ratings, record low at this time?
Yeah, I think the Democrats made a lot of mistakes. I'm with Bill Maher, or with first of all, the disaster at the southern border, ignored by Biden and Harris, is a plus for Trump, for sure. I give him that. And so I think that the future should be to heal our issues is a third party, because I think MAGA is only 20% of the Republicans, as well as these woke people on the left are only a certain fraction of the Democrats, and there's a large number in the middle, and you could harvest that and bring some sanity back. But for that we had to change the election laws in the states. So that's my perspective.
Thank you, Marcus. You need to look that up about MAGA again. 90% approval of Trump amongst Republicans. Thank you.
Okay. Let me ask you, Eftol, a few questions, and maybe we have some other people who want to come up. You get an idea what we do here. We ask someone else just subjective how you perceive the situation after 60 days of Trump. Eftol, do you understand that CEOs of big companies have a hard time to plan with an erratic change of tariff statements based on X tweets?
Sure.
Do you think that this could create more havoc? I mean, it's like a captain of a sailing boat or a big tanker who moves the steering wheel to one side then to the other. What would you advise Trump to do differently?
I would advise him to go even faster. As Scott Bessent has said multiple times, American success does not mean buying cheap products. So the fact that the cost of our products and the comfortability of the CEOs and how comfortable you can make CEOs is not the metric that we need to be looking at this time. The major changes need to happen. I would tell him to keep going and impeach those judges, put pressure on these fellows, keep doing what you're doing, get to the goal of the cuts. That's the key right now.
Cut.
But you would probably agree that we shouldn't strive to construct the crystal ball for the Christmas tree in the United States and get back all the manufacturing, would you?
What's the Christmas tree example? I mean,
you probably agree that the plastic, like a lot of stuff is being made in China. To bring that all back in the United States cannot be the goal. Can it?
Well, who says it's the goal? To bring back dirty plastic, cheap shit into the country. I mean, you'd have to be.
The pen you use right now, or like when you work in the hospital and you get like
range, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean you would probably agree that it makes sense that the construction of goods and services has to adjust to different wages, to different abilities of different countries. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I don't understand.
Mark is going to
Okay, well, 1 second. I tried to keep the format, but you know what? We are only few, so go ahead, ask me.
I was just going to ask you, like, we have glaring examples of the dependency on other countries for its host. So take Germany. Its dependence on Russian oil before the start of Ukraine signing those deals, even to the adverse advice of the United States and other nations. Europe basically went ahead and was pretty much reliant on Russian oil, and that dependency turned around and hurt them, did it not? And so what we're seeing is, I think, and maybe you're not seeing it through the forest through the trees, but do you not recognize that there seems to be a more, not nationalistic, we want to eliminate everybody else in the world, but a more renaissance of we want to focus on our country and bring back things that we once had, the ability to have varying jobs, foods, energy, all of these things. And this dependence on other nations, even into the future, is great. But you are aware, like China doing its war games around Australia's borders, that was a clear sign.
Try to stay on one topic. I give you feedback about the German dependence on Russia.
All right, fine, stay there. So, like, that didn't work out well for Germany. So why wouldn't the U.S. take the same approach?
It's complex. It's funny, and you might not know that. I mean, it was basically gas, which it was imported from Russia, some oil too, but gas primarily. And I can tell you that the people in Germany who are closest to Trump, that means the AfD, the populist parties who Vance met at the Munich Security Conference and all that, they're all in favor to open these gas pipelines as soon as possible, because they would argue that the cheap gas from Russia, which is cheaper than the U.S. gas, and it's more environmentally friendly, which they don't care about. But so they would argue that it's actually the interest of Germany to have access to that cheap gas. as soon as possible, because that was one of the reasons in their eyes, and they are the closest to Trump, which suffocated the economy in Germany in the last 3-4 years. You know, it's complex. They would argue that, yeah, we take the gas and Russia gets goods and services. You know, whatever, the BMWs in Moscow or something. That's how they perceive it. I would argue, go and get the gas from Canada and include Canada in the EU and be independent of the United States. But, you know, I'm a US citizen. I won't tell them. Nobody will hear me.
So then, wouldn't you say that Putin played Germany and that they didn't make the best decisions because they had the opportunity to import oil from anywhere, really? They could have done whatever they wanted to. They could have picked on Venezuela. They could have went ahead and they could have set up trade routes to Canada. They chose Russia.
Yeah, it was the gas, which, let's say, the chemical industry was very dependent on gas. BASF, it's a town where I'm from, like 30,000 people. That plant was highly dependent on gas imports from Russia. Like Germany was heated like to 30-40% with Russian gas. So not Venezuela oil. I think the oil came from the Middle East, from different sources. Russia too. Europe is very obviously dependent on natural resources. Yeah. But let me, since I see a few friends from Germany coming in. So this is like, I rewind the room for a moment. So on the stage are 4 people who rated the performance of Trump in the first 60 years. Eftol is very in favor. He thinks it's 10 out of 10 or even more. Brad, 8 out of 10. Me, 3.5 out of 10. And Marshall is kind of in the middle, like 5.
Marshall is a 5, he's a fucking 1, he's a faggot.
Performance of Donald Trump in the first 60 days. And we will try to use our format by understanding why people come to so different perspectives. And I'm not a Trump hater. Just my son met him, and I if you would read my comments in German newspapers, you would think like I voted for Trump. So it's relative. But anyway, so if anybody wants to come up, if someone from Germany wants to come up and ask questions, how
Let me up, faggot.
That might be interesting for you. I don't know, because you.
I am from Germany. I am a descendant of the Nazis, and I hate the Jews, and I hate Donald Trump.
Someone, Dr. Francine, and my friend, Dr. Francine, do you want to engage in that format, asking one of us questions?
Piece of shit isn't letting me up.
Sure.
Who do you want to pick?
It's a toss-up between Brad, one of my favorite people, and Ethel, who I hardly know, but everyone on my side of the clubhouse fence kicks them out of rooms. So maybe I'll engage Ethel.
Thank you. Very nice of you.
Well, we've had a talk once before. I remember.
Go ahead, ask brief questions.
Okay, Ethel, after 60 days, how do you think it's going?
It's going great. Going great, bitch.
Well, thank you. I think it's going really well. Feel good about it. Over-aggression and a little harder than expected, even from the MAGA lovers like myself. So, yeah, really happy and hopeful that it gets through the roadblocks that we set up with the judiciary strategy that they've taken.
Okay, do you listen to the All In podcast?
time to time.
Please don't scroll. I'm just trying to become a big.
Well, they had an interview with Howard Lutnick, who is the Commerce Secretary, and he was explaining, and I think this was actually wonderful. He was explaining Trump's methods for balancing the budget. Do you think at the end of this 60 days you can see a roadway toward balancing the budget?
Sure. If they continue cutting and they get to their $1 trillion goal, I mean, I think they look like they're pretty close to getting to 150 billion right now, and that's just with 2 months. So if they keep cutting and don't get locked on it, yes, I think it will obviously balance the budget in addition to the tariff money that's coming in and other avenues that he'll decrease the taxes or get rid of the taxes for everyone under 150, I think was his comment that went viral.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great.
And do you think, one thing Lutnick said last night that was really interesting, I mean, he didn't say it last night, I listened to it last night, but one thing I heard him say was that it was sort of, I'm sorry, I'm walking out on the canal with my dogs at the same time I'm doing this, but one thing Lutnick said was that everybody in Trump's cabinet can communicate, and they were chosen by Lutnick, who did the recruiting for them, because of their ability to communicate Trump's point of view. So, do you think that they have been doing a good job at communicating this? And it's not a trick question. It's a question I have an answer to, but I'd like to hear.
Yeah, I think Scott Besson's done a great job. I think Lutnick is what it is. He comes across a little bit like a car salesman of some kind, but
Totally.
Everybody trusted him so much after 9/11, and all of a sudden everyone hates him. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, Howard, it is what it is, but I think he speaks off the cuff. I don't see any major mistakes. If there was any major mistakes, they would be pointed to immediately in the propaganda Democratic media. So we don't see any major mistakes, do you? That you can really pin them down on communication. If there was, they would already be jumping all over it.
Well, there have been a lot of mistakes in what they've been doing. Yes? I mean,
well, you can name one. Name the biggest one.
On the Doge side.
I don't see any. I don't see. What are you gonna tell me about the 2 nuclear engineers that they fired and had to rehire, or what?
No, I'm not ambushing you. I'm trying to find something out because I have been listening very carefully, as Brad probably knows this, as I always do, to both sides. And I had no idea the amount of forethought that went into what Trump wants to do. And I can't figure out why the communications aren't landing as well as they should. Because in my view, and Mark, departing from your method, I know you have this methodology.
Yeah, try to ask a few questions, and then let Eftol ask you a few questions, Dr. Francine. I think it's helpful to listen and be short with your questions.
Okay, so Eftol, you think this is a success? Question 1 was, do you think this is a success? Question 2 was, is it going to balance the budget? Question 3 is, is the communication landing successfully? Those were my first three questions. And my fourth question is, how do you feel about the fear that everyone has that our social safety nets are going away?
I feel it's frank propaganda. He's actually come out and said that he's removing taxes from Social Security checks, effectively increasing it. The cuts to Medicaid and Medicare that are being thrown around are just wildly speculative. When the cuts do come in, he will suffer the consequences of it if he cuts needed social safety nets. So we are headed into a time of austerity. Medicaid, maybe a little stricter to get it, and may really give it to people who are truly in need, rather than just guys sitting on their couch like they're getting it now. So yeah, you may have some cuts in food stamps and Medicaid and other welfare programs, but cuts to social security. Hold on, let me finish. Don't step on me. There are no if and when there are cuts to needed critical social safety nets, him and the Republicans will face the wrath of the electorate. So I don't think they're going to do it. I think that a lot of the talk about it right now is frank propaganda and fear-mongering by the same people who are setting fire to Teslas, right? And the record low Democratic approval is your proof that nobody's really worried about this.
Okay. Marshall, let them speak. Eftel, do you want to ask Dr. Francine a few questions?
Well, sure, if she'd like to take some.
Totally. I'm back in the house now, so it should be a lot easier. And Brad, I'm sorry. Next time I'll ask you the questions.
So do you agree with...
Love you anyway, Dr. Francine.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Do you agree with government waste and fraud and abuse being cut? Do you agree with in principle, the goal?
Of course. And not only do I agree in principle with the goal, but, I agree. I mean, I can see it. No one has to, draw me a map.
Okay, great.
I can.
So that goes to my follow-up, which is, what is your problem with attacking this aggressively? What's the issue?
I don't have an issue.
What is the issue for your brethren and deep state patriots?
Well, I think it's a communications issue. I think that, and I say this because I spent about 30 years working with engineers and techies, and engineers are notoriously poor communicators. And Elon Musk understands exactly what he's doing, and it's the same thing he did with Twitter. And I had a lot more skepticism when he did it with Twitter, because I'd never seen this playbook before. But since then, I've studied it, and it has a name in technology called the scream test, which means you unplug servers until somebody screams. And then you realize that you've unplugged a server that actually is in use and is not waste, fraud, or abuse. So, and then you plug it back in. And that's what he did at Twitter. He unplugged things until, things broke. And the thing that worries me is the human factors part. And the fact that this is somehow been communicated, in my opinion, communicated very poorly. And that's where, when I was listening to Watnick, I was like, none of these things were communicated in a way that the public could understand them.
Next question.
So you think that do you think that it's worth just stopping the program because of public perceptions?
No,
Because of
no, of course not. What I think
What's your
is
main problem
there's
with Doge other than the communication? What's your problem with their actions?
well, what they need to do is bring people, and again, I have a career in communications behind me, so they need to bring people around with them, along with them, rather, by saying we're going to do this because in the pandemic, and by the way, I think they've done it with one agency. I can't remember which one, but certain agencies staffed up during the pandemic, and they now have like 3,000 more people than they had during the pandemic. And so they're going to cut those people because the pandemic is over. So that's one way they could better communicate. Another way they could better communicate would be to explain what the people do, like they're closing down social security offices. Well, I've actually been to federal government offices, where they were all staffed up with people at desks. This was back before COVID, but they were all staffed up with people with desks, and there were no people in them. This was like the local Arizona office because nobody that day needed help, or they all got it online, or whatever. And if they would say for Social Security that most people do get on Social Security without going to a Social Security office, then people wouldn't have the excuse or be freaking out over the fact that they're going to close a lot of local Social Security offices.
Okay, last question, Estor.
Yes, thank you. A final question. Why are your group demonstrating and in front of Tesla dealerships? Why is the focus of protest against Elon Musk and Tesla? Make it make sense.
Because Elon Musk is a very poor communicator, because he is an engineer. And when I worked at Intel, we had we took these Myers-Briggs tests, which I know are shit, but they did give you a sort of overview of where people's communication problems would occur. Okay, somebody has just written to me that Myers-Briggs is legit. Whether it is or it isn't, what it taught us was that not everybody communicates the way we do, and that we have to communicate in a way that the other person understands. And if you ask me what is happening with everything from Tesla dealerships to all kinds of other issues, is that the communication is so poor. Like, I'm reading the chat as I go along, and I know a lot of people in the chat, and the people in the chat are probably shocked that I have more sympathy with the way you guys think. I look at the way people communicate, and I think that most of our problems come from lack of good communication. And people don't like Elon Musk. They used to, but since he has begun butting into areas where he doesn't belong, they've lost their love for him.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah, let's maybe stop here. So please stay on the stage. So I give my friend a chance to engage in the same way. My friend, I don't know you. I put you up first. I thought you were from Germany. It seems like you're not. So please try to be respectful. Otherwise, I have to move you back into the audience, and it's nothing personal. So feel free to ask one of us. But the first question I would have for you, on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you perform Trump's performance in the first 60 days? 1, bad, 10, great.
I would give it probably like an 7 or 8.
Okay.
And the only reason, I'll just say this, I was talking with a friend the other day about rating things 1 to 10, and my friend and I agreed that 10 is very rare. 10 is perfect, and 9 is close to perfect. So if somebody on a 1 to 10 rating scale, if you rate them like a 7 or 8, that's pretty good. You know, I don't think he's perfect.
I get it.
But yeah, you get it.
Yeah, I get this. Thank you. Thanks for that. So, my friend, please choose one of us and ask that person short questions. 3, 4, 5 short questions, and listen to the answer without judgment. And then they ask you.
I can do this. I can do this. I appreciate your rules. Well, I am driving. Am I in the Matrix? I'm driving soon. But am I currently in the...
Yeah, I would probably say it's a little bit in and out. With respect, I would say give it a little time and come back a little later if you have better acoustics in a few minutes. Is that fair, or it's a little shaky?
Yeah, give me 5 minutes and I'll be back to better service.
Sounds good. Thank you. We have just our other friend up here. He left again. I would have been curious about his perception. Anyway, so whoever wants to do the next
All right,
round.
it's only been 10 seconds, but is that... You can hear me now?
Sorry, it's a little shaky. I think give it another 5 minutes. You can stay here. Nothing will happen. You will be back, and all good. The time doesn't matter. Give it another 5 minutes. I'll be around. So. Anybody wants to come up? Royfield, I would love to hear your opinion. I would like to prefer people who I know on the stage right now. We made an exception with my friend, but that's a reason I don't bring up tarot and other, which I don't know. Sorry, I'm sorry about that, but it's just my comfort level right now. I learned yesterday, for resilience, you have to know your own level of comfort. Anyway, F-Tall Brad, do you want to engage with, or Brad, do you want to engage with one of us? Francine or me?
Oh, I love Dr. Francine. Sure, Dr. Francine. So we're aware of the political marketing campaigns. We can all agree on that. Both sides have it. What do you think currently of the global perspective and the shift, if you would say, is it becoming a mimic of Trump in other nations? And should we expect a different way going forward between nations and trades?
Well, that is a very complicated question, and I don't. One of the things I love about this room, Marcus and Brad and Eftol, and I realized that the last time I talked to you, Eftol was in this room. I don't like to be buttonholed and put into a corner. I am a progressive by nature, and I am a fiscal conservative. And I found out from listening to Howard Plotnick last night that a lot of New Yorkers are like that, and that puts them in a strange or unusual category, because the lumping that we're doing lumps all kinds of people in the quote wrong unquote categories. And I don't think that Europe is going to fascism, and I don't think there's a right wing swing to fascism. You know, that you can say this is happening everywhere, because I think one of the big problems that we have is that we tend to think things are happening everywhere. I guess it's called confirmation bias. You know, how we
You're a
see
communications expert. Maybe it's called confirmation bias.
That just isn't true. It's never true. People are just never like that. It's much more complicated. So, you know, my feeling is that what's happening in America is scaring the world, because America had a place in the world which was protector of everybody. And was that good? I mean, no. I mean, it worked for the good thing was it worked for 80 years of peace. But I don't know. I mean, again, there's a lot of right-wing leaders, and there's a lot of feeling that right-wing leaders might be wrong.
Next question, Brad.
So, how do I put this? Because I love you so much. If I could, I'd marry you tomorrow. But
Whoa! Holy
We don't
shit!
have to agree on.
Holy shit!
Of course not. But
I just want to mention I love her too.
well, then we're fighting pistols at dawn.
Damn.
So,
I'm gonna get killed in the crossfire.
I'm married, so I'm not going to marry you, but
Okay. Oh, good, because I've been married 5 times already. Okay,
Holy
go on.
shit!
I could be your 6th divorce.
Have you actually been married 5 times?
Yes.
That is amazing.
See, nobody asked me these questions on stage. Everyone seems to be, the thing that they want to do is pin me in a corner as a libtard, and it's like, and I come up on these stages and I talk to Trumpsters, and I because nobody should be able to be pinned into a corner like that, which makes assumptions about them that may or may not be true. Anyway,
Okay.
that's
Brad, your question.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Frenzy. And just a sidebar, for those of you that don't know, Dr. Francine, I'm going to tell you a little bit. You're famous. You did something in the, I would say, the green space, so to speak, that many people don't know about. She was so famous. I read about her years ago before I even got to meet this beautiful woman. So you guys should research her a little bit more, and you'll find out that there are some very intriguing things about her. Dr. Francine, do you think with the current, I don't know how well versed you are in geopolitics, but do you think with the current state of between Canada and Europe as being kind of in their I would say their nervousness, do you think it will shake up the EU or European nations to actually start to take accountability and actually turn more inward to focus on their nations, or do you expect them just to have another outreach and try to just wait out these 4 years?
This is how you make king
I think
fish
they've
that
already
actually
stepped
tastes
up.
good. King
And
mackerel
they've
is
already
a
stepped
oily
up
fish
and
that has a
increased their
strong
defense
fishy
budgets
flavor, which is why most folks don't care for it.
net.
Those
They've had,
oils are also
several
what makes it so good to smell.
summits,
Rectex,
you
mustard,
know,
and spicy barbecue
about
sauces,
how they can
screaming
defend
pig spice
themselves.
is the
And it's
perfect
like,
seasoning
and
combo.
in
to
some
cover that
ways,
fishy flavor.
I
You can leave the fish
I just
with the
wonder
sauces in the bag for hours to
if that's not a
maximize
good thing.
absorption.
How come you keep boosting stuff?
Yo, John, you just missed one of Brad's
question, Brad.
finest moments.
Why don't you ask Dr. Francine, sorry to step in, on a scale 1
I'm
to
here
10,
to film
how she
Marshall
feels about
Rankin
the
because he's a
first
fucking
60 days of
loser
Trump?
faggot.
Well, you just did. Ask her. She's pretty much an open book. You just ask her.
Dr.
She's a
Francine,
lovely lady.
how would you rate Trump's performance in the first 60 days? We just for the audience, because because there are a few more Germans coming in.
Yeah, Marshall is a fake Republican. He's a total faggot. He's a total waste of space and a loser. And there's a lot of faggots like him everywhere. So he's not the only one. There's a million of these faggots.
8 out of 10.
Marshall just happens to be one of them on Clown House.
I said 7 or 8 as well.
Yeah, 7, 8, and Marshall, oh, your acoustics is better. We'll get you.
Yeah, I'm back. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. I don't forget you. And Marshall, 5 out of 10. And Dr. Francine, what's your rating?
5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. Wow. Okay.
I have to vote him. I have to give him a lot of credit for.
Oh, Dr. Manfinity is here. The legend. The Manfinity!
China shop, and I need him, if he wants to be successful, to learn to communicate, to actually lead, rather than just going there. He goes there and hopes that everyone will come along, but I want him to bring people along.
This would be a great time for my question. I don't want to interrupt Brad's line of questioning.
Yeah.
This isn't...
That's fine. My friend, why don't you, Brad, I think it's fine. He didn't have a chance to talk yet. My friend, you round.
Well, I don't even know if I have a whole round.
Hold on, but stay with one person and ask 2-3 questions to that one person.
Yes.
You can...
When I was in the Matrix, I was saying I appreciate the rules of your room here. As you set it up, I'm going to try to accommodate. So my first question, or my first person at least, is for, I don't even know if I have a round of questions, but I've got one question at least for Dr. Francine. And I thought of it a few minutes ago, but it's related to what you just said just now. And my question essentially is... when we talk about communication, I hear you say he has to communicate better, Elon Musk has to communicate better, they have to bring people along and inform people, why are they making the cuts, what are they doing, we have to communicate better. And in general, when we're talking about communication, when I try to communicate with people,
Short questions, my friend, sorry, I have to interrupt.
Okay, so the question is it possible that Trump and Elon Musk have communicated their mission effectively, and the people who claim to not understand it are really just blinded by their own prejudice against them?
Damn!
That gives you a new problem.
Ooh! Damn! Good question. Ooh! Oof!
Of course, it's partly a me problem, because it's partly an everybody problem, because language is such a...
Well, but if I may, really briefly, just to clarify, I feel like I understand what they're doing, and you're saying that you don't understand it, and so they need to communicate better, or maybe you need to listen better, and I mean that in the most respectful, open-minded way possible.
No. I mean, thank you. I think that bringing people along behind you as a leader involves. See, and here's Evtol now feeling like now as Evtol is disappointed in me because he thought I should have
tried to answer. Hold on. I don't want to cross-talk.
I was repeating Jules. I was repeating Jules' statement. She's very disappointed in you right now.
Yeah, I try not to do that cross-talk. Stay focused on my friend and answer his questions, and then you can ask him.
Okay.
Don't read the chat. I turn the chat off otherwise. Don't get distracted.
Okay.
Please don't scroll.
Here's where I am trying to lead my life. And to be frank, my life is a lot of other things besides this app. And I like to awareness about what is happening around me and not necessarily pick a side. I almost didn't answer that 1 to 10 question because it's gonna land you in a pickle no matter what side you
Robots
choose.
from one of Amazon's fulfillment centers have escaped.
Our latest
So,
update will
next
cause a
question.
lot of the robots to quit
Well,
and climb
I
up the
kind
vents.
of almost
So just be on the
want to
lookout
keep
for any
clarifying
suspicious
this
figures doing
point. I mean,
parkour.
we can.
Also, if you see what looks like a
What's
large cat carrying a gun, don't pet it, don't bring it in the house.
Look
They
at
say
that,
something like the age
Edmund
of man
hates
is
that
nowhere,
word.
but that's just a
Questions
coding
only,
error.
you
Our
bastard.
best
All right, can I
advice
go on
is try
mute
and
and
lower
think of
your
another
core body
question?
temperature by 10 degrees so
I
it
love
can't
that
see you.
rule,
And
but it's an
then
interesting challenge. It's an interesting challenge. I want to try to think for a minute. I'll come
I
up with
used
some
to
more
have
questions.
the perfect
You need a
life
German to have
until
this
one
strict
day
rules here.
they killed my vibe.
Anyway, Dr. Francis, do you want to ask my friend a question? It's always reciprocal, so you can ask him
Easy
too.
off your phone, it's a funeral. They also said. But see, once you kill a
Were
vibe,
you?
it's gone
Well,
forever.
sure,
So
but
let your
it's
homie do
so
that
silly.
freestyle rap.
Um,
Let your bro put on his
I mean,
Eminem.
not your format, but did you want me to come down on one side or another?
No, just be yourself. You can be whatever you want. As anybody here on this stage, no judgment.
Let me try to ask it again. And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Hey, how
But
come you keep posting stuff?
It's fine. Go
I'll
ahead.
ask it again in a different way. Basically, is it possible that the people who are not understanding
when
what
I'm
Trump
angry,
is doing, is it possible that the people who are not understanding what Trump is doing are simply blinded by their hatred of Trump? And so rather than saying, I hate Trump, they're simply saying, I don't understand.
No,
Is that possible?
no, that's really not it. I mean, actually, they don't hate. They don't hate Trump. They hate what he's doing. They hate some of the things that he seems to be. Well, for instance, the law firm. The law firms, that he's basically going after, or the news media that he's gone after. He goes after things that don't talk to this point of view that he's trying to talk to. They don't hate Trump. They don't. It would be too easy to say they hate Trump. It's more easy to say it's more. It's more accurate to say they hate some of the things that he's doing because they interfere with what we've always thought were constitutional rights that we had. And they also hate him because they don't hate him, but they hate change. Everybody hates change. And that's why it's so important as a leader to bring people along behind you. If you are coming after 4 or 5 of the largest, best, well-reputed law firms in the country, then shouldn't you be saying why? And shouldn't you just be saying because they X, not just because they're Democratic. The thing that I think is making everybody bad was, and Marshall, good heavens, I don't know how you navigate this, but I'm trying to kind of do what you do, is be a regular.
Yeah. Try to land the plane. I hate to say that, but
No, I know.
Which law firms? I'm not aware of. You said they're attacking the 5 biggest law firms. Can you elaborate on that?
Latham and Watkins, Paul Weiss, Rifkin.
Okay, so I've never heard of these, but
Perkins Coy and whatever. So there's a whole bunch of law firms that actually handle a lot of civil liberties and constitutional cases, and he's been attacking those.
How have they? Wait, who is he? Trump or Elon? And how have they attacked the law firms?
They've well, I don't know exactly how they attack them. That is a good.
Well, I'm only asking, not even to challenge you, but
Okay,
just because
hold
it's
on.
not.
Yeah, let her answer the question. Don't interrupt.
Well, her answer was she doesn't know.
My answer is I have read news that they have been threatened, but I don't know exactly why. And that is wrong on my part, to say stuff like that. I agree. That I need to be better armed if I'm going
another question that I thought of for Dr. Francine, if I may.
Yes.
So the next short specific question is, what can you give me an example or two? I heard you talking about Social Security, but it wasn't specific enough for me. So I'm wondering, can you give me one or two specific examples of cuts that Doge has made or wants to make that are bad? Like, what is really bad that Doge is doing? Because I think most of what they're doing is good. So what are they doing that is bad? And try to be specific.
Video asking everyone.
Well, the one thing that I know they're doing is closing local offices. And the other thing is limiting telephone access to make changes in the way your direct deposits are deposited. So, and these are seen as, and again, nobody knows, these are seen as inimical to older people who are not technically astute, and it makes it necessary for people to have to come to the Social Security office which is in person, in order to verify their identities. And this should not be required in this day and age, because all of our data is online in one way or another.
Dr. Francine, do you want to ask my friend a few questions, since to be equal? Okay, she's on the phone. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That happens. Okay, then let me just rewind the room briefly, and then we go to Frederick. So also for my folks here who know me, Celine, Matthias, Kirsten, Igor, P. So the idea of the room is to listen, to ask someone with a different perception of the first 60 days of Trump, what you feel about it, etc. Odd questions, and listen to the answer. I think it might be interesting, especially for people abroad, like in Germany, to listen to the different nuances you will hear from people like Brad, who rated Trump's first 60 days 8 out of 10, Francine 5 out of 10, me 3.5 out of 10. I hope I don't have, I don't, hurt the feelings of any Germans. And Marshall 5 out of 10. And my friend actually 8 out of 10. So I would, Francine, do you want to go back and ask my friend 2-3 questions, or shall we move on? It's up to you.
I'd like to move on.
Okay, then I would say Frederick. Yeah, that's sad. Frederick, who do you want to pick and ask a few questions? Frederick. Nice picture, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, Dr. Francine, maybe. Well, why not?
You are very on demand, Dr. Francine. You have to know for the audience, Dr. Francine is the Clubhouse diva, or no, I shouldn't say that. She's the Clubhouse celebrity. Not only does she know the founders of Clubhouse, but she was married 5 times. I can say that here because she said that in a long interview. And she has a wealth of experience in life, so we have the advantage to talk to her. She herself says she's a liberal. A liberal.
Classical liberal. I am not.
You are a classical liberal, yes.
I am not a libtard. I just believe that rational thought is applicable to things like government.
Yes. So, Frederick, first question for Dr. Francine.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Dr. Francine, have you ever been to war?
No.
And what are your thoughts on the whole Ukraine-Russia conflict?
Well, I've been a peacenik all my life. I don't think war serves anybody, and I think it's in the 21st century an absolutely stupid and backwards way of settling things.
Okay, and what has happened in the last 4 years?
A lot of men has postured.
Okay, and do you understand how many sanctions were placed on global fertilizer supplies, oil, gas, wheat, bread, etc.? I mean, have you ever heard of how many sanctions were actually placed in the last 4 years?
Absolutely, I've heard of it. I've also heard of how people get around those sanctions and how sanctions don't usually work.
Okay, and so do you think that the world is currently decoupling? I mean, are we decoupling from globalization that was placed since, I guess, World War II and whatnot, with SWIFT in place and central banks communicating back and forth? I mean, because as far as I can tell, there's been 25,000 sanctions placed in the last 4 years on all the global food supplies. For instance, that's why you saw a 50% increase in African food prices.
Damn.
So do you think are we decoupling from Eurasia and whatnot? What are your thoughts on that?
We are decoupling. I know that Trump wants us to decouple. I think it's wrong because I guess if you ask me what my position is, I would say I am a globalist because in the age of the internet it's impossible to really decouple. Our supply chains are all
Last question, Frederick.
Yeah, but how many sanctions were placed on global commodities like food, oil, fertilizer, like 70% of global fertilizer? You know, I don't know which fecal matter we would need to use to grow food otherwise, like vegetables, fruits, etc., etc. Are you aware of the number of sanctions, economic sanctions, global sanctions that were placed in the last 4 years, not during the current administration?
Not in any detail. But to be honest, I'm not so much in favor of chemical fertilizers to the point where I don't even like American food because it's all polluted by chemical fertilizers.
All right.
So that's a whole other.
Frederick, you realize that Dr. Francine is not an world expert on fertilizers. But I thank you for your questions. They were very specific, and that's fine. Not really to the topic of Trump, but that's fine too. So, Dr. Francine, if you want to ask Frederick, always you could. Otherwise, we can move on. But it's up to you.
Do you expect Trump to roll back some of those sanctions?
No, doesn't seem like it.
question behind your question?
Trying to gauge your cognitive abilities in terms of being able to tell how many times people placed in the last 4 years in comparison to at the moment with talk of terms.
Oh, no, my cognitive abilities about how many sanctions have been placed are nil because I'm not in it.
Last question, Dr. Francis. Or if you have two, that's fine. Any?
No, I think I'm done. Yeah,
It's all good.
my cognitive abilities have been exposed. So I think
It's all good. To be honest, no cognitive abilities are going down the drain of every human being, and that's probably good in a way. With a little bit of less cognitive abilities, I think life is much easier. Looking at myself, I'm just kidding. My friend, you want to ask questions?
Well, Marcus, I'm wondering I want to say, first of all, I love your PTR, Make Us Trust Again. I really like that. And I wanted to offer that I could ask you a question,
Go ahead.
but I also,
before we get to
I will, but I also wanted to request that you bring up my friend in the audience. The username is Tarot Card. I know that you said that you don't like to bring up people that you don't know, but this is somebody who I know. I don't know you, but I think you're a cool guy. I like how you run this room. I know Brad, I know Marshall. I've had interactions with Dr. Francine.
Already done.
So yeah, maybe Tarot Card can go in the queue, but if you want to, I only have one question for you.
It's all good, all good.
Thank you for accommodating. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. My question for you, if you're willing to answer, is why so low with the rating? You only rated 3.5, and I think if you're rating 1 to 10, again, if you're rating people, how pretty is this woman? She's a 1. I would never rate a human being as a 1. A 1 is a goat. And so if you're rating somebody a 3-point question, if you're rating somebody why 3.5?
Yes, very good. Well, I said that maybe you were not in the room yet. But so the good part on Trump's performance is that he addresses the illegal immigration issue, not to the full extent which it should be addressed, but at least he got the numbers down, which I give him credit for that. And I do think that Biden was an idiot not to address that. So I give him credit for that. I think that, my German people here in the audience would probably agree with that. He creates a lot of destruction of trust overseas. That I think is an issue because, as I said, long term, I'm a long-term thinker. I think that the US will lose the reserve currency in the world if we lose trust. So that's the biggest issue, which to me explains 70% not happy. 30% I am, and then there are some others. I hope I answered some of the questions. Do you have another question? I give you 1 or 2 more.
No, I'm good for now, but thank you for your explanation there. That makes sense.
Okay, all right. Then I would say I'll skip asking you questions, and I would give David a chance. And first of all, let me welcome Michael Wieland from Berlin. So, to my German friends, you have here an opportunity to listen to real Americans like me. Just kidding. No, I am. But like Brad is 10 out of 10 in favor of what Trump did 8 out of 10. Sorry, Brad. What Trump did in the first 60 days. Dr. Francine, who is a celebrity at Clubhouse, you should listen to her. She knows the founders. She was 5 times married. She has a knowledge and wisdom. So
notice what the categories are, the qualifications are for being a celebrity.
Yes, you would get my trust points, Dr. Francine. And you are always welcome if you visit me in Florida next year. You can stay with us. So you should listen to her. She's a liberal, but she rated Trump 5 out of 5.
what a shocker for the Germans listening. And then we have my friend, I didn't know
5
him
out
before.
of 10.
5 out of 10, sorry. Marshall is like a lexicon of history and knowledge about the political system from Texas. And he rated Trump, what was it, 5 out of 10 also.
And he's a Republican, rating a Republican president 5 out of 10? Wow.
Yes, I do believe that.
I
And then we have...
never give A's to anybody, ever. Just not
Yeah, yeah.
doing.
Yeah,
What
it's
did you
okay.
just
And then
mumble?
we have- Okay, hold on, Tyrone.
What did you just mumble?
World politics. And then David, who is obviously critical of Trump, and we will open the space now for David. I appreciate David a lot. I know him.
What is obvious about that? Hey, nice to see
Marcus,
you again.
he's also a
Glad
fellow
you're holding
Texan.
I just try to be. This meme went around in my brain called critical thinking for the last few years on Clubhouse. So I'm just trying to represent.
Hey,
that, to be
Dr.
honest.
Julian.
Okay, David.
Are you
Now,
enjoying
don't
the
we
room,
appreciate you. You
or
can pick
is it
anybody
kind
in
of
the room
annoying for
and
you?
ask a few short questions.
What do you
and
think,
can say,
Dr. Julian?
But while I'm
It's all
talking
good.
and trying to stay on my list, I'll listen and
Yes,
ask a question.
that's fine.
But
Yes.
I'd rather go whatever second test.
Yes. Yeah, you can come back anytime. You are.
No, I'm here. I'll talk.
Yes,
I just
yes.
don't have any thoughts of who I wanted to have
Okay.
interlocutor with me.
Yeah. Okay, then I would hold on for a second, and I try to convince Pete. Oh, she's gone. That's so sad. Anyway, but now we'll go to, and I'm a little hesitant to bring up other people's. I don't know, so I'm sorry. Maybe my friend knows the other guy who's raising his hand.
Well, nobody knows anybody on this app.
Yeah, Dr. Marcus, let's just get to the questions.
Talk to strangers.
Yeah, I know, but I have the luxury to know a few people here.
I
See,
feel
that's
like
a
I
nice
know
thing.
people. Yeah.
Yes,
Like I mean,
yes.
I've met some of the people on the stage. I don't want to get into
Yeah.
detail. Yeah.
Okay, all
And
right.
I'm
Well,
willing to
then,
meet most.
I have some questions, Dr. Marcus, because I'm on the Doge X account right now.
okay, Taro, I give you the stage. You can ask any of us questions. You chose me. That's fine. Go ahead. First question.
Okay, so I'm on the Doge X account, and a lot of people on Clubhouse love to talk their shit, but they don't actually read anything. So I want to just tell you some of the things that are on the Doge X account, and this is the question. I'm going to ask you based off of what I'm about to preface with. So this is from Doge. It says, this week, Interior is dissolving the Federal Consulting Group, where one government department charges another to broker consulting contracts. For example, FCG brokered a $75 million contract to design website customer satisfaction surveys and then attempted to award an $830 million to conduct similar surveys. The latter contract was discovered by Interior and Doge and was canceled before signature. So this question is to Dr. Francine or Marshall or Brad or anybody.
No, hold on. Taro, stop. The rules are you choose one, not Dr. Francine, Brad, or Frederick or Marshall. One, maybe me.
Oh, okay.
And ask me short questions.
Okay, so do you think that at $40 trillion in national debt, the United States government should be, cutting contracts for $1 billion here, $1 billion there? And if so, does that build more trust with our European allies or less trust?
So there was two questions. The first question, should we cut the spending? Yes. Does it create more trust with European allies? That depends. Right now, I would say no. Next question.
So if we want to build trust with our European allies by not wasting our money on bullshit fraud, why wouldn't that build more trust with our European allies?
So I can give you a short answer. We have a few European allies down there, and I will ask them if you believe I have at least like Kirsten, Matthias, Celine, Michael, HM. You can look down. I ask you to raise your hand if you think that the trust to the US is going downhill in the last 60 days, raise your hand if you
And
think
what do you
yes.
mean by trust? I don't understand. Why? And what about the American voters and taxpayers? Shouldn't they trust their government? Why does anybody care about European trust?
Short questions. So you're asking, what do you mean with trust? Trust is a feeling, as you know. And I can tell you that the feeling of many people in Europe, Celine is bringing up the hand, is going downhill. Is that legitimate? Is it okay? Does it affect us? That's different questions. I live in the United States. I'm a US citizen. When I talk to Germans, folks at home, I'm just reporting what they say, what the newspapers write. Is it legitimate? You could argue about it. Is it just worth to discuss?
Well, I don't think we're arguing about things. I think we're just doing Q&As back and forth, correct?
Yeah. No, hold on. Yeah, but you need to listen to my answer. And my answer should be by definition longer than your question. Next question.
So if Donald Trump pulls the United States out of NATO, saving us $300 billion a year in order to pay off our $40 trillion deficit, do you think that will build more trust or less trust with our European allies?
That will decrease trust a lot because the United States does provide a lot of the infrastructure which Europe cannot replace right now. Should they get more independent of the US? Yes. Do they have to do something about it? Yes. Are they trying to? Yes. But to pull out of the United States out of NATO, does that make sense? No, in my perception.
Do you think the taxpayers in this country that voted Donald Trump into office trust their government?
The taxpayers who voted for Donald Trump, if they trust the government. So I think that a lot of people in the US, my fellow US citizens I meet at work every day, do not trust the government. Prior to Trump, and I think right now,
Gotcha, bitch! Trick question!
some are enthused and positive, but a lot still don't trust the action they see. So yes, I think that's an inherent feature of our society that in the US, unlike in Germany or in France, we have a certain level of distrust to the government, which is in our genes. I have German genes, but yes, I'm a US citizen and I understand that feeling.
Got it. So at $40 trillion in debt, do you think the citizens now, the voters, the taxpayers, do you think they trust their government in America more now? Or do you think they trusted the Biden and Kamala administration more then?
I think that's a complex question. Obviously, Trump was voted, so there was a big distrust in Kamala and Biden, and that didn't surprise me because they are perceived by many as trouble, which the Germans probably didn't understand, but that's fine. I live here. Trump obviously created more deficit than actually the presidents before. So we will have to see if he can keep and satisfy the feelings of US citizens.
Got it.
I think there's a very, very mixed responses right now, as you can.
So this is my follow-up question. Marshall Rankin Stankin says he's a Republican, and he says my party. He voted for Kamala Harris. Do you think Marshall voted for Kamala or Donald Trump? He voted Kamala.
Don't mention any other name while talking to me.
Taro, follow the
rules, Taro.
Marcus, I've got a question for you, which is, did you like Biden?
Did I like Biden? I think the Biden...
Or not even the Biden, let's be really clear. I'm not talking about did you like Biden as a person. I'm wondering, did you like Biden as a president?
That's okay. I'll try to answer. So I think that Biden was average corrupt, like many politicians. So do I think he was? Then he should have withdrawn much earlier. And do I think he had, based on personal tragedies, which we all know, had some sort of a human positive attitude? I would say yes. So he went through a lot of personal issues, and I think as a human being, it's difficult to judge someone like him. I mean, you should.
Did you vote for him? Did you vote for Biden, and then did you vote for Kamala?
Okay, that's a clear question. I give you a clear answer. I could never have voted for Donald Trump, and I never voted for him. So for me, hold on, let me just answer that. But for me, it's not a matter of Biden 80, Trump 20. It was more like, at least with Kamala, I would say it was more like 45, 55. I mean, I just can't vote for Trump.
What do you mean by that 45, 55? I don't understand. You're saying 45 or 55% of you wanted to vote for Kamala, or what?
Correct. I'm not a Trump hater. That's what I tried to say.
But you said you would never vote for him.
Yes, because I would never give him a job in our practice.
But not because you hate him, just because you really don't think he would do a good job.
Yes, because I doubt his ability to do what's on my cap. Make us trust again. That's the reason. Very simple.
Fascinating.
Another question?
Can you understand the perspective of people like myself who grew up in America, always voted Democrat until 2024, and then voted for Trump because we began to see that the Democrat Party, I mean, I almost want to make a statement. I know your rules are questions only. Let's form it in a question. Can you understand my perspective? I was always Democrat, then I went for Trump. And
yes.
Short answer is yes.
Question. Hold on.
One question.
I give you my answer. So my daughter voted for Trump. My son met Donald Trump. Some of my best friends voted for Donald Trump. That's not an issue for me. I still love them. But I could not vote for him. I'm sorry.
That's pathetic.
I guess my second question is, it goes without saying that politicians are corrupt. I did not grow up thinking that politics in America were corrupt. I grew up thinking that politics in America were relatively, compared to the rest of the world, were less corrupted than the rest of the world. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's become corrupt. Or has it always been, or does it just go without saying that politicians are always corrupt?
Okay, so the answer to that, hold on, David. Let me just answer that.
That's pathetic.
So the answer, my friend, is that in the United States, in our society, we are both part of the society. Money is a very important parameter of everything. I'm a physician. The Excel sheets of the private equity who controls our practice are the Quran. That's a funny comparison. My CEO didn't like it, but I bring it up. So what I try to say with that, and there's nothing necessarily bad with that, but obviously societies need also some sort of like something else than just money. They need family. They need some sort of rituals. 4th of July, come together, community. You would agree with that probably. And so I do think that in the development of the United States, as so many other countries, we are moving more into the balance, money only matters. And that's what I'm trying to say. So that's the reason when that happens, that they say, obviously, a higher likelihood that people get corrupt. And I think that's the reason why, in conjunction with that identity loss, people flock to the MAGA movement.
It's go to usdebtclock.org and look at the actual financial situation and ask yourself, is this sustainable to be awarding billion-dollar contracts that are unnecessary? No, it's not. And all these anti-Trump derangement syndrome people refuse to look at numbers. Then you just say, it's not all about money, it's about ritual and ceremony and coming together as a family and a nation. Sir, the government is broke. They spent everything.
Okay, that's not along the rules, but I completely agree with you. I know these numbers and they are not sustainable, but they will be even less sustainable if we lose selling treasury funds to China and Japan because they don't trust us. So,
So kick into the goo
now. My friend, sorry I had to move down your friend, but I'm pretty strict with my.
No, it's okay. He was being irascible.
Sure. Hey,
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. I know that's not cool. I just got another call to change some stuff on my schedule today, and I didn't know how long you were going to run the room. And I like the format you traditionally hold, where people don't editorialize and whatnot. So, how much time do we have? Or I'll just go.
I'll be around for another hour, David. You can come back.
All right, everybody, that's the show. I'm going to actually read a book. That's right. I don't just talk about politics. I read books about philosophy. Okay, thanks for coming to the Trump derangement syndrome. I hate Donald Trump, and I am very angry. That's the name of my show. I hope you enjoyed it. There's nothing else really to talk about, and I am going to end these rooms. So, Umar, John, Julian, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's been a good look into essentially psychology, because people that hate Donald Trump are retarded, and they hate something about themselves, which is that they are bitches and retards and liars and frauds, scammers and schemers who want to waste your life with their bullshit. Essentially, as the taxpayer, you have the 100% right to demand a ledger, to know where your dollars are going by a bunch of faggot Democrats wasting your life. Could you imagine going to work your whole life to fund a Democrat's transgender abortion agenda? Is that what we, our Americans, are? Is we work for Democrat spending? No, we don't. We don't live our lives for Democrats. We now live our lives to fight, to destroy, and to imprison the Democrats, our enemy, our sworn enemy. Until the last breath of our life, we will fight them tooth and nail. And after we destroy the Democrats, we will turn inward and crush the fake rhino Republicans like Marshall Rankin Stankin and all the other fake rhino Republicans who want to do the exact same thing to you. But instead of spending it on abortions and transgenders, they'll spend it on war to go kill people and spend your money. And they don't even take the resources afterwards to pay it back. They give it all away. So we're living with a bunch of traitors, a bunch of feckless, feeble-minded traitors to the Republic. These people are enemies of the state. You should document them, know them by name, and put them in a database for termination and elimination, politically of course. Not physically. We wouldn't get physical. We want to win at the ballot box. And if we lose at the ballot box and they cheat by fraud and deception, we will have no choice but to begin making citizen arrests and taking these prisoners and putting them deep underground in unknown tunnels where they will never be seen again as we continue our operations for geopolitical supremacy.
Those individuals, because when I look at Victoria Newlands and Nero Tandys and all these other individuals, I'm not a big fan of any of them, and I believe they've caused more harm in the world under their own ideology, and they didn't really represent American people.
Any more questions, David, or do you want to answer Brad's questions?
I thought it was 3 and 3, so let's go with Brad. I'm fine with it.
Brad, any questions for David?
Thank you, though, Brad.
Sure. How do you feel about the Schedule F argument?
How do I feel about it? Are you talking about the people? I don't know the specifics. I heard about it on Project 2025, and then I paid attention to people that said that wasn't Trump's plan, so I didn't tweet it out. Is it the thing that's in Project 2025, or is it? My question is, what's the most number of employees that this could affect?
Did he kick you?
So I can understand it better.
It's about 50.
Sorry, what'd you say? Hello? Can you hear me?
And others. That decree foreign policies, that decree
domestic
policies, they write legislation, they work on behalf of
I decided I got bored, he was retarded, and he was kind of being a dick. At first I thought it was funny because, you don't like it when people ask questions, and his rule is only questions. So at first I thought, oh, this is funny, we're going to do this. But then he just kind of is like a stupid douchebag, so he turned into another retard, low IQ, dumb person wasting time.
I agree. He rates Trump at a 3, so he's clearly got Trump derangement syndrome. But yeah, I really hate Marshall Rankin. He is one stinking ass fucking faggot. He is one fake Republican bitch. He talks as if he owns the party, my side of the aisle, and he's just a fraud. I mean, and there's a lot of guys like him who he voted Kamala. He voted for Kamala.
He's like a never Trumper?
Yeah, basically.
Or they're stupid. I mean, look, I was ahead of the woke curve. I was woke when I was 18, 17. I was like, eat the rich. I was like, I'm going through a dead zone anyway. I'm going to mute up.
Yeah, I know you felt that way, but that was also your conditioning, your programming. You were programmed to think and feel that way. It wasn't independent. You didn't you're not some fucking, your environment. I mean, you didn't, you can't look back on that and say that was my intuition. That was your programming. That was your conditioning. You're a product of your state. I mean, you live in one of the most liberal states in the whole country. Everything around, all the communication you took in was engineered to make you think and feel that way. So you can't blame yourself, let alone there's nothing to blame. It's just, we are a product of communication. And Dr. Francine Hardaway, the fiscal conservative who's been married 5 times, Elon and Donald are not leaders. They're not going to take you to the promised land. They're frauds and corrupt oligarchs who are stealing all of your money. They're closing the Social Security offices and denying benefits to old people who can't go to the office, who do verification by the phone. And there's so much data on everyone, there's no fraud. What they're doing is criminal, and we have to resist. And the deep state patriots are organizing to resist the movements of Doge. Think about that. I have to douche my pussy. So, welcome to the comedy routine known as Deep State Patriots, where virtue signalers will waste your time with moralistic virtue signaling for 8 hours a day. That's right, Julian. You're one of them with your disgusting PTR of a murderer that you glorify. A murderer, someone who pulled a gun out and blew somebody's fucking head off. And that's your favorite PTR, Dr. Julian.
Wait, who is the PTR?
Dr. Mangione.
Is that who it is?
Yeah, he's this F word N word supports a murderer. That's the
Oh, Julian, you like Mangione?
Yeah, he thinks what he did was a great thing, and he praises it. So,
No, that's
Zach,
dumb.
you do realize he's like a Palestinian who, when you talk to him on this app, and you've often noted that it's unbelievable that these people technically, linguistically, will admit to wanting to murder me. He's that kind of
Right.
F word N word.
I see. He would kill you if given the chance.
Yeah, he's a potential homicidal murderer.
Got it.
Yeah, you
Got
see
it.
see how that works, Dr. Julian? That's what you are. You need to go to the gym and read a book and try to re-educate yourself. Do you know who James is on this app? MAGA James with his orange hat. He thinks he's like some.
Yeah.
I heard him say to some Schwarzes on this app one time, you, sir, have forgot what it is your government is and what your place is. It's the fact that you forgot that you're a member of a republic and that you're not acting according to the rules of the game. And the fact is, what you're doing is illegal. And, you have the sentiment of illegality. Welcome to the room, Dr. Julian. And I don't dislike you personally. I think you're a pretty mellow guy.
I like Julian. I'm sad to hear that you are.
I'm roasting
this
him.
way.
I'm roasting him. It's not personal, Dr. Julian.
It's
You're
fair. It's very fair. I mean, anybody who supports Luigi Mangione is a dummy.
Yeah. You're stupid, Dr. Julian. But that's okay. That's why you're here. You're stupid.
Julian, do you have a?
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, do you have like a list of other people who you also think should have their heads blown out, like in addition to whoever that was, the fat healthcare guy who died? You don't even have to list them, but just do you have a list in your mind? You don't have to tell me the list, but in your mind where you're like, yeah, there's like 50 people who they could all get it.
I won't say that on recorded channels.
Well, this is all allegedly, hypothetically. This is hypothetical.
Yeah, I won't answer that on recorded channels, but so Dr. Wisdom, I actually think you brought this up in another room, and I just kind of wanted to say that in response to the whole Mangione conundrum, that Luigi Mangione is innocent until proven guilty. His legal team is being withheld evidence, and they're having to watch HBO shows in order to find what the prosecution is about, what the prosecution has against him.
Okay, well, thanks for that news update. Thanks for that amazing update, Dr. Mangione. And
You're welcome.
have you seen the O.J. Simpson HBO movie?
Julian, are you gay?
What?
Are you gay?
Only questions and answers in this room, please. We're gonna do the
No,
same
I'm
game.
wondering if you are gay.
What, are you gay? So anyway, OJ,
Please,
I don't
only
think so,
questions
but
and
I know
answers. Go
about
ahead.
I know about the O.J. Simpson trial.
Okay, so I'm trying to correlate between what you perceive as, them having to go to HBO to figure out how to conduct a trial. Anyways, listen, you're very stupid. So I want you to listen more than you speak in this room. You're not a mod. I hope you stick around, but I also want you to listen more than you speak because you, young sir, are in need of reconditioning, and we are just the two, Yiddishkeit to help you do that this beautiful Shabbos. We try to keep Shabbos holy, okay? It's one of the commandments.
I feel like Dr. Wisdom and your friend the trash bag is like really the ultimate comic book duo.
Yeah, we are the very aggressive, but also friendly Saturday morning cartoon show that you never really wanted to watch as a kid, and thus why you're in the predicament that you're in now. And that's why we hope to help you, Dr. Julian.
Anyway, Luigi Mangione is innocent and deserves a fair trial.
Everybody deserves a fair
I
trial.
can agree with that. He might be innocent until proven guilty, and he deserves a fair trial. But forget whether it's Luigi Mangione or not. Do you support that nigga who shot that other nigga?
Whoever it is,
Am I in the Matrix?
no. It sounds like you're driving now. It's pretty. But, whoever popped that CEO's head off, yeah, that's messed up. Murder should never be condoned. But, yeah.
But if it was Dr. Mangione, you do agree that he should be terminated, right? Like, he should be capitally punished and have his head blown the fuck off because it's called eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You notice how I said tooth for tooth? Did you like that? Go ahead, Dr. Julian. What's your response?
We'll see.
Wait, I'm just trying to understand. You might be like Luigi Mangione is innocent, and that might be true. But do you support the shooting of the random guy, or no? You think that was bad?
What does that have to do with Luigi's case?
Okay, only no answering questions with questions, okay? That's part of the game. We're doing the same Marcus rules here.
The nigga who shot that other nigga.
No, I don't support that nigga who shot the other nigga.
Okay, good. So we agree. You don't think it's good to just shoot random people on the street. To be clear, I don't think it's good to shoot random people on the street, even regardless of whatever they might have done. But a lot of people seem to be supporting Luigi Mangione, and Dr. Wisdom might have confused me a little bit because I assumed that you support Luigi Mangione because you think it was good that he shot that guy. And I was just trying to, without even like attacking you, I was just trying to understand, do you actually support that guy who shot that other guy, or no?
Well, murder should never be condoned. But at the end of the day, Brian Thompson is guilty of his own crimes, and
so you think Brian Thompson deserved to be shot?
And the most high will put him in purgatory, and his crimes will be judged accordingly.
So you think that you don't necessarily even support the guy who did it, but you think that the fact that it happened to this guy, whose name was Brian Johnson, I guess, do you think that was good? Or is that what you're saying?
Okay, we're moving the show along. Dr. Julian's Q&A has come to an end. And I just wanted to really roast him a little bit for his Mangione supporting. So, Dr. Julian, I hope you stick around. You probably won't. I know you're going to go try to get your dopamine filled somewhere else. That's okay. Feel free to leave anytime you want, and I hope you have a great day. Welcome to the room, dog in the fleece jacket. Chris, welcome to the Deep State Patriots. We are taking over the Deep State Patriots with an alternative. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
From church, listen to a good sermon, and it's a pretty good pastor.
Why don't you retransmit the sermon to us right now? Go ahead.
So from what it was read was like it's all about inclusion, man. You have to be very inclusive. Jesus was inclusive. He was inclusive to like a tax collector who turned against the Jews, and you can never do that, especially against your own tribe. And that was like that's what it was all about. Like he touched just like sick people, people who had leprosy.
Chris, curious, can I ask a question? Do you think it was more of the type of like be inclusive to Republicans type of inclusive, or be inclusive to like transgender immigrants type of inclusive?
To be honest, I think anyone can like take whatever sort of information in their own mind will then like project onto like it with like their own experiences. So like it's really up to like interpretation, I guess.
See, I view immigrants and trans or anybody who's not a US citizen or somebody who is demanding acceptance for what we might call mental health or behavioral problems. I take it with a grain of salt, meaning that I see the pain that they may not be admitting to or that they don't want to talk about because it's not a natural state. And the problem is there's so much compression going on in each person, all the communication, all the terror that they've lived with. Because a lot of these people who left their countries, they left because their shit sucked. And they were like, maybe on a hope and a dream, my life can turn around in America. That's the myth of America. So.
Yeah, so if like America is an idea, why don't you take that freaking idea back to your own country?
See, that's the thing about enlightenment is you don't need geographic proximity to obtain a state of mind. And that's why my friend the trash bag, who constantly says, I love to do Aliyah and go live in Israel and work in Israel and die in Israel and start over in Israel. Going somewhere doesn't fix an internal problem or a long-term problem. Being in the now is how you control the pitfalls and the unseen variables that inevitably arrive as you as you create actions in your life.
This girl at work, did I tell you that I read her the Tao Te Ching?
Yeah.
Baruch Hashem, congratulations.
And like after I immediately read it, she went to Amazon and bought it in front of me.
Yeah.
She was like, "Wow, this is so good."
That's amazing. There you go.
It was really cool.
Yeah. I've had really interesting experiences with Tao Te Ching. When I was first on this app, there was an older gentleman who created a room almost every night, and he and other people would read Tao Te Ching for about an hour. It was a great room.
Yeah, we discussed the Tao Te Ching on my first date with my girlfriend, who drives me crazy sometimes. But first date, I was like, I like the Tao Te Ching. She was like, oh, that's great. And then we kind of talked about it for a little bit. I thought, okay, that's good. Good sign.
And then she was like, wow, this really like calmed me down. I'm usually like a very angry person.
Yeah, she was like, I was so chill. She was like, I was so calm.
Yeah, anger is the big thing. That is always the big thing. I have this one Buddhist book by this woman.
That's why I gotta say I really love Bussy. You know why? Because he tries to induce anger out of you. And it's like,
and he succeeds.
And you know what? Like it's more like he's like a mind reader. Like when you go like get your palm read.
Mind reader. He's a mind virus.
He's scattering his net to hit any sensitive targeted points.
Right, I mean, he's a douchebag is another way of putting it.
No, see,
he's an asshole.
He fills both buckets. He is an F word, N word, and he's extremely vulgar. So he's like the opposite of what I want to be. But I understand that in what he's doing. But I'll be honest with you, as a publisher, a promoter, really it is the Little Richards that actually get everybody, bumping and shaking and grinding and having a good time. They serve their role. He's the ultimate F word, N word super comedian. He is the super troll of all trolls. But I would still be very weary and just know that, I certainly wouldn't want to live my life like that, nor would I want to project that onto people. But I would use him to make money and use him to be productive and invert what he's doing onto other people to make money. But, as far as like supporting him, I would only support an F word, N word guy like that if we were making money. Welcome to the room, Dr. Majud. This is I am a never Trumper in the Deep State Patriots house. Welcome, Dr. Majed. Free Palestine.
Thank you, Tarek. Can we also bring up Alexander?
Sure.
And so, what do you mean by I am a never Trumper? Are you a Trump supporter or not?
Yes, I'm 100% MAGA. I voted Trump twice. Welcome, Dr. Zander, to the room. This is Deep State Patriots. Free Palestine. Assalamu alaikum.
And we're turning into interdimensional radio right now. So streaming from different dimensions throughout the Clubhouse universe.
Right. We're in multiple Clubhouse rooms.
We're in multiple rooms at the same time.
Is there something you wanted to say, Dr. Majed or Dr. Zander, as Trump prepares to move the first 500,000 Palestinians into Egypt in the resettlement camps?
Oh, well, that's actually a very interesting thing that you're saying, and we were speaking about it. But I'd love to hear, Zander, what your thoughts are. Alexander, are you there with us? Well, I mean, I guess I'll just go until you get on. Oh, I guess I don't know. He's gonna be there, not there, whatever. I mean, I get it. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, as terrible as it is, you know, we do have a bit Hamas to blame for a lot of the devastation that took place because life was already kind of difficult as it was there. But I think that as you know, the conditions were very difficult, but at least things were moving. You know. And in my view, it's like now out of a place of fear, definitely there's no way that Israel is going to allow for you know people, the population there to stay, you know. And so it's like it's a very harsh reality. It's very sad to see the implementation of it, you know. But I think at the end of the day, that's kind of the reality. Like I think it was a huge miscalculation. What happened on October 7th should never have happened, you know. And that's, you know, yeah. So it's like there's a lot of moving parts to this. And I think that Trump is just a very he's, you know, being also very realistic about some things. And at the end of the day, like when we live also here in the United States.
Oh my God, it's that third time.
America first. Anyway, I kept going, so.
Bro, you said at the end of the day 3 times.
Some of you guys, when you speak, aren't very persuasive in the manner of the way that you deploy.
Yeah, basically, Chris and I didn't like that share. We reject that.
Well, this is really like a communication analysis room, and he left. But you know, I've got 3 other clown house rooms going. I am a never Trumper, Trump derangement syndrome, and I hate Donald Trump, and I'm very angry. John, I don't know if you want to find the other room called Deep State Patriots, but really, these are like fishing nets or spider webs, and we just whatever floats in, we catch.
We are the shit, and we attract the flies.
Well, I like to say that
we are what you get at the end of the day. When the day finally ends, you end up here, and here you are. This is the end of the day. We've reached it. The day is over.
You should see some of these YouTube comments.
Is this just a bit that you do, John? Like you say, oh, look at these YouTube comments, and they're
they're real comments. What are some of the comments? Sometimes they talk about his bald head.
Somebody named J.A. wrote, PEDS patient presents with dyspnea, dysphagia, dysphonia, and drooling. Patient is cyanotic and tripoding with inspiratory stridor on auscultation. Patient is unvaccinated. What is the diagnosis? So that's why I say, like, you should see these chats. It's like very random, very strange, and it's like it's not being done by AI. Like that's some actual human being who's watching this and decided to write all that in the chat. Somebody also named Robert Carey wrote bald boy.
There we go, bald boy, baldy.
But anyways,
That's like,
yeah, this app really is ESL world. It is for non-native English speakers to come here to talk with American English speakers and try to improve their English language, I think, in many ways.
Yeah, the guy Marcus was using us as like an exhibition. He was like, I think for my German friends it will be very interesting to listen to people like Brad, a real American, if you can believe that.
Couldn't Brad was like, I love this woman. I would marry you, Dr.
I would
Francine.
marry you. What the fuck?
Oh, you have no idea how accomplished this woman is. She is such an environmentalist. You have no idea. Look her up. Oh,
If you were younger, Dr. Francine, I would fuck the shit out of you.
damn. But any chance that I get to record Marshall Rankin Stankin and dox him on X and YouTube and use his name, I think I will take that opportunity because he is one lazy piece of shit. He mumbles everything. He's, I believe, a pretty heavy drinker at times, but none of that. I mean, I drink. The whole point is they are fakes. He voted for Kamala Harris. So, and then he constantly says, my party. You know, it's like, they're just the most inauthentic rubes. I guess I hate to quote Dr. Hannibal Lecter, but he's not a well polished rube. He's just a hillbilly. So I guess I'm angry over a hillbilly. But, anyways, we are moving on. Dr. Brian, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm fired up. I'm ready. Like Scott Jones and Marshall Rankin voting for Kamala and then acting like they can talk in regular circles. It pisses me off, and there's an opportunity to dox them, but I'm just here to listen. And I wasn't going to join, but clearly I have more impressive things to say than the YouTube comments. Other than that, I'm just listening.
I agree. Dr. Scott Jones, though I'm friends with him, is an F word. And he is. I like his communication, and I think he's fun and friendly, but, you know, I don't really trust F words all that much, to be honest with you, in general. Now, you might say that is homophobic of me, but it's not homophobic. I would never. See, I think we already have equal rights. I think how you want to orgasm in private, as long as it's legal, is your right to be as gay as you want to be. You can be that fucking big of a, an F word. That's your choice to be an F word. But some people are bisexuals.
Why don't they create their own homo churches?
You never heard of the Lutheran Church?
Dude, that has really been my experience.
If you see a rainbow flag on the outside of a church and it's super inclusive, well, you still might have a nice potluck, but it doesn't mean I support your orgasm desire. It's just, and I'm not homophobic. I'm gay. So, anyways, I'm gay, and not many people know that about me, but I'm actually gay.
I'm transgender.
I was a woman. I shaved my head. I started taking hormone supplement therapy. I've been lifting weights, and my name is actually Janet. Not many people know that I'm gay and I'm trans. I'm one of the most successful trans success stories of all time. I grew a penis.
Not many people can do that, actually. It's quite hard, but.
So, John, you grew a penis, and Zach sucked it?
No.
Uh-oh, Zach. Your roast is just beginning.
That's my next clubhouse rumor.
I should create a room called I Slept. Oh, actually, Zach, I do have a clip of you on YouTube. It's called I Almost Slept with a Trans. That's the title of the YouTube video. And it actually did get a lot of views. And I think it is kind of a funny thing to bring up because there are so many trans now. And it's kind of amazing how on a Friday, Saturday night, when a guy's been drinking and you're in a nightclub and it's kind of dark, or you're in a bar and it's dark, and a lot of people know that this guy is a trans, but he's flirting with this guy. And I've seen it many times in my life. And like going back many years now, I've seen trans talking to men who don't know that that is a man. Because they have breast implants, they are literally dressed to the 10s or the 9s. So also, Doctor, my friend, You know, a 3.5 out of a 10, and you were making a good point about nines and tens about how that's like perfection. And so I just look at it as if you give a 50%, that's like an F rating. You know, 3.5 is like a triple negative F. So that,
anything below 5 is a fuck you, basically.
right. Yeah, but Marshall Rankin is giving our president, a Republican president, an F. So he's an F person. And, you know, I don't know what he does. He always talks about my little brother and my little brother and my little brother and my little brother. You know, it kind of sucks when you get old and you get fat and like your energy is not where it is and you drink a lot and you mumble a lot and you spend all your time on Clown House. So clearly his career isn't taking off. No one can have a successful career and actually be on this app. It's impossible. If you are here, you are careerless. And guys like Brad, who seem to know everything about all things, you know, Republican, all things, you know, he knows a lot. And I'm like, I asked him one day, I was like, where do you get all your information from? He said, I get a lot of emails. So like, I don't know if he's pre-networked, but anyways, somebody said he drives a truck. And I thought he worked in like, you know, insurance or finance, or I didn't think he worked driving a truck, because even driving a truck and being on this app those many hours is difficult. I don't think it's easy to drive a truck, let alone talk on Clown House and be very specific about what you're talking about, because that means he's had to have read all this shit. So, anyways, welcome back to the Deep State Patriots, where we are going to now pipe in an actual Trump derangement syndrome room for you. We are going to take my burner phone and find one of the latest and greatest Clown House Democrat derangement syndrome rooms with our favorite Clown House clowns wasting their time talking about nothing. So let me open up my new burner. It's not new. People already know this account. It's called Wizard. But this is, let's see. It's hard to find a political. Well, let me just take you to chillism. It's a good indicator.
I don't want to call it a scheme, but the whole situation where the pseudoscience got, coughed around, and then all the skepticism grew in the botany community, and because of that, all of massive, like all of these different scientists got their funding got swiped, and